Hey Eagle fans, it's EaglefanKarl. Happy Wednesday. It's the Wednesday after the big win against the Pittsburgh Steelers, and I just wanted to give you a couple of my thoughts. But I want to change some things up this week. I'm going to do the touchdown montage now as opposed to later in the video. So here's the Carson Wentz touchdown montage. So I want to start out the video just talking a little bit about Carson Wentz. He was named today the NFC Offensive Player of the Week, and for good reason. His stats, especially for a rookie, were off the charts. And when you look at the way he played, it was especially, I think, very impressive. The reason I sort of switched things up this week is because and put the montage first, is I specifically wanted to talk about that one touchdown that he threw to Darren Sproles. And I am a firm believer that that is not a play that a rookie quarterback normally makes. And I think there's even some veterans that have a hard time making that play. When you watch that touchdown and the way he moved around the pocket at first and then floated out, had the presence of mind to just move along the line of scrimmage and then dump the ball off to Darren Sproles, he makes it look all too easy. That play, I think, is a lot harder than it looks. First of all, you know, he's able to adjust in the pocket while keeping his eyes down the field. As he starts to run forward and then move along the line of scrimmage, the reason that's so important is because it freezes that linebacker for just a moment. And that's all that Darren Sproles needs to get behind him. And then the best part of it is the pass. The pass itself was, I think, a thing of beauty. There's too many times I've seen quarterbacks have that throw open and they miss it. They either overthrow it, they throw it too hard, whatever it is. The touch that he put on that specific pass was something that I just had my mouth wide open. I could not believe how easily he made that look. I always really liked Donovan McNabb as a quarterback, but that was a throw he always struggled with. Those little touch passes that were sort of medium range. He had a tendency to either put too much on them or he would overthrow them. And Donovan McNabb is not alone in that. There's a lot of quarterbacks that played for a number of years and had a lot of success in this league that would have trouble making that particular pass. And it's the touch that he put on that ball that just left me, completely amazed. And then he also showed later in the game, there was a similar throw that he made to Brent Selleck going across. And then there was several throws where he really had to gun it in to get the pass there. When he had to put some extra mustard on it, he did. So watching the way that this kid throws the ball and knowing exactly how much to put on it and the exact touch that needs to be put on every pass, it just has really make me fall absolutely in love with this kid as a quarterback. I think that I always thought he was the real deal. But every game that keeps progressing, I'm convinced more and more that this is a kid that's going to be here for the next 10 to 15 years. He is our franchise quarterback, and I think we will see postseason success with him down the road. And I really think that at this point, he's just really sort of blown my mind as to how good he could potentially be. But enough about Carson Wentz. Let's talk about the really impressive part of this game, and that was the way the defense played. Certainly Carson Wentz helped us win this game, but this game was absolutely dominated by our defense, and our defense has just gotten better and better each week. If you think about it, the first week against the Browns, they gave up an opening drive in the second half that resulted in a field goal. Since that drive, which was the first drive of the second half of the first game, they have not given up a point since in the second half. There was a punt return last week against Chicago that wasn't the defensive unit, that was special teams. So the defense themselves has not given up any points in the second half after that first drive against Cleveland. So that just tells me this is a team that's getting better and better each week. Jim Schwartz, for those of you who watched my video before, when they first hired Jim Schwartz, you know I was a real big fan of that hire. I love the fact of the intensity he brings. and the fact that he knows how to use the guys that we've got. And these guys were in Roethlisberger's face all afternoon. And that was against an offensive line that many consider to be really good. So the fact that they played some lesser opponents in the first 2 weeks, you can't say that anymore. And even if people say, well, Pittsburgh's pass defense isn't that great, and they don't get any sort of a pass rush, so that's why the Eagles were able to have success against the Steelers, it still ignores the fact that that's one of the most high-powered offenses in the league, and we held them to 3 points throughout the whole game and no points in the second half. And like I said, I really cannot say enough about the way this defense has been playing. And I really think if we are going to go anywhere this season in terms of having some postseason success, it's going to be largely due to the fact of how well our defense is playing. So where does that leave us from here? You know, exactly how good can this team be? Since we're coming up on the bye week, I'm going to take the bye week to sort of do that. So when I check in this coming weekend, I'll talk a little bit about where I think possibly this team could go. After the Chicago game, you know, I had said, do I need to reevaluate my preseason prediction of the 6-10 record? Well, they're already halfway to 6 wins. So I think the answer to that is a clear yes. So I'm going to talk a little bit this coming weekend about what my real thoughts are for the season going forward, and specifically the next few games and how I view those. In fact, the next stretch is a really interesting stretch of games, as 4 of the next 5 games are on the road. 3 of those road games are against division opponents. So it's really going to sort of, I think, test exactly how good this team is going to be. So when I check in this weekend, I'll sort of give you my thoughts on that. I'm not going to give a game-by-game prediction like I did for the beginning of the season. But I will sort of just take a look and see exactly how good I think this team can be going forward. But until then, fly, Eagles, fly.